Okay, my name is Allyssa Romero, and this is problem 15 from the homework 4.6 for calc. Okay, so the problem is y equals x cubed plus 24x squared. What we're going to do first is find the first derivative and the second derivative. So you'd find the first one first, of course. So you move the 3 forward, so it'd be 3x, and then subtract 1 from the 3, 2, and then plus, you multiply the 2 and the 24, so it's 48x. And then I always like to find the second one right afterwards just to make it easier. So you multiply the 2 and the 3, which is 6x, and then since this has no exponent after the x, it's just going to be plus 48. Okay, so we're going to set each equation equal to 0, and what we'll do first is find the critical points. So as you can see, you can factor out a 3x, so that's what we're going to do automatically. And so we'll have x plus 16. So then we set each of those equal to 0. Well, 3x equal to 0, you divide by 3, and your x is just 0. And then you have x plus 16 equal to 0. Subtract 16 from both sides, and so you get x equals negative 16. So these are our critical points, 0 and negative 16. So we're going to draw a number line, and we'll have negative 16, and then 0. So we don't want to do whole numbers, so we're going to do negative 1, negative 20, and positive 1. Okay, so I already had the numbers all worked out previously, so I'm just going to make it easier so we don't have to bring the calculator out. So the negative 20 shows a positive incline. So does the negative 16. We're actually going to need to plug the negatives. And how you get these inclines is you plug the ones that aren't the critical points into the first derivative, but you plug in the critical points into the main equation because you actually want a value to come out. So when we plug negative 16 into our original equation, we got 2048. And when we plugged in 0, of course it'll just cancel out everything. So we got 0 and 0. So our positive 16 is increasing, then of course we'll do the negative 1 into the first derivative, and at that point it starts decreasing. And then this is 0, 0, so it's not really increasing or decreasing anymore. And then we'll plug the 1, since it's not a critical point, back into the first derivative, and it starts to incline again. Okay, so we have our critical points and their values. Now we're going to set the second derivative equal to 0. And so we'll subtract 48 from both sides. We get negative 48 equals 6x. And then divide by 6. The 6's cancel out. Negative 48 divided by 6 is negative 8, which equals x. And we'll do another number line. But since we only have, this is your point of inflection. So this is where it determines whether it concaves up or concaves down. And like I said, you want to keep whole numbers. So we're going to do negative 10 and 0. So like this is the same exact thing. You plug in your inflection point into the main equation. And then the ones that you chose to join your example into the second derivative. So like I said, I had all the math worked out. So this negative 10 goes to a concave down. And then negative 8 at this point, we plug this into the first derivative and we get 1024, which is a positive, so at that point it concaves up, and then at 0 it concaves up. So if it's positive, it concaves up. If the answer comes out negative, it concaves down. So our max is our negative 16, 2048. That's our highest point. Our min, or minimum, is going to be 0, 0, because that is our lowest point. And our inflection point is negative 8, 10, 24. So now we have to draw a graph that's gonna resemble it. Okay, so we'll say right there is negative 16, and then we'll say this is 2,000, and we'll say this is 1,000. So you go up, and it's just an estimate, so we'll say that is our negative 16, 2,048, and then here's our negative 8 right here. We'll go a little bit past the 1,000, and we'll say that's our negative 8, 1,024. And then of course down here we have our 0, 0. Okay, so we're gonna get it at once you hit 16, according to this, we're at our highest peak, but then we go down. We start to decline, and then once we hit 0, we start to go back up into a positive form. And then at negative 20, it's still showing increasing. So any point after 16 is increasing. And that's the end.